I was working as a critical care nurse in an ICU at a local community hospital. And I feel like I had an important job. I was able to help people in a very crazy point in their life. I knew that with my family growing that I was going to need to be able to provide more for them, and the best way to do that was to further my education so I could get a more flexible and better paying job. I got a bachelor's degree from University of Maryland Global Campus. The program was definitely challenging, but the school has a great reputation that I wanted behind my name. It was a little nuts, having family and work and going to school at the same time. My husband and I both went to UMGC because of the convenience and the reputation with the military. I was in the Maryland National Guard. He was able to use his GI Bill benefits for his tuition, and that was part of an inspiration for me to attend UMGC as well. And then I also got to transfer a lot of my credits from my community college. It was very emotional that day. Walking across the stage was a big deal for me. And to know that I had put all that hard work into it and to finally finish. It was really important for my family and my kids to see me. I think anyone could get through it, you just have to want it.